Hi everyone, Ahmed here, and in this video I'm going to be showing step by step how a normal design process works. Now this is going to be a general design process, and I want to show you what you can do at each stage if you can't do something too deep, meaning you don't have the time or the resources. I'm gonna show you the minimum amount of stuff you need to do so that this project is still successful. Let's get started. Now, why would you need to do research anyway? Let's say you actually began a new project, your project manager introduced you to your tech team, and you met the stakeholders. Why do you need to do user research before actually beginning designing? I know it sounds like a stupid question, but we have to understand why this part of the process exists. Now, the reason you have to do research is when you meet the stakeholders or the dev team or the manager, most people's self-interest is about themselves. For the devs, developers, their self-interest is how do I make as little code as possible to be the most productive. So what they are going to say no or yes will be mostly about technical depth. For the manager, it will be about making the project work. For the stakeholders, usually it is for the business profits. Here is the problem. While the dev team worries about the technical depth and the managers and the stakeholders are worrying about the business and getting it done, nobody is caring right now about what the person who will use the product will want. And that matters because most often that user is also the customer. So a user research, how a person will use your product matters a lot, and there are roughly two ways to go on about it. You can do a qualitative research or you can do a quantitative research. What qualitative research means is instead of using numbers, you mostly talk with your potential users or current users and to find out basically what their problems are, and you record them or you ask their permission. If they say no, you can keep a diary, but that is how a qualitative research works. Now, in terms of quantitative research, that's mostly using data and numbers. You can do it in the form of a survey, or if you are, redesigning your company website, it might be heat maps to see where users click. Those are kind of the ways that you can do. Now, once you join a project that has already been present, one good idea you can do if you are short on time, basically understand what the dev team has done so far, what the design team has done so far, if there are other designers than you, and also you can take notes on what the biases of each person's are. And again, everybody will be biased because we all want for our selfish interest. Also very good, especially if you have little time to do user research, I suggest you just interview 3 to 5 people, potential users, but if not your friends, because one is better than 0, and guerrilla user research also works. Basically, you just talk with people, show them the product or the idea, and ask them open-ended questions of what they could do or how they could do, how they would use the product, what they would do with the product, and that is for your research phase, guys. Now that you have done your research, it is time for you to actually write down some of the problems that you believe that we have to solve for the user, and also have a meeting with your team and share those ideas. It is very important because most beginner UI UX designers, when they are doing side projects, they are missing this constraints part for the technical and also stakeholder constraints. What this means is once you join a project and you are defending the user's point of view and what they need, you will often meet with resistance because often that means more technical depth, and also it slows down the project. So you have to actually not only find the problems, but you have to prioritize them and only solve the right problems, which is very important and it is very hard. So share your ideas with your team and understand what the technical constraints are and prioritize your ideas in terms of the most effective and least effort needed for each idea. Now, if you are enjoying the video so far and you want to see more of my videos so that you can become a better UI UX designer, please feel free to click on that subscribe button below. I would appreciate it. Now, the most fun part, which is ideation. Why do we need to sketch, draw, or whiteboard the ideas that we have for the problem we define? Why not just immediately go to high fidelity? And I know you want to give an answer because it doesn't make sense, but we have to know why we do certain stuff. The reason is we wouldn't actually need to do whiteboarding or drawing if we were going to build a bridge. We would just, do the blueprint of the bridge and then we would build it. The problem is most of the designs for the bridges haven't changed as long as I know of. But the application you are going to build might change at the middle of the design when the needs of the users change, a new competition entered the market, or your stakeholder decided to cut your budget. All of these influence your designs, and most of them are out of your control. So what you have to do is you want to get most of the yeses in terms of the technical scope, technical depth, or let's say stakeholder needs and wants with the minimum amount of effort. This will also make sure that the dev team is always on the same page with you, because when you are doing high fidelity, it takes time to show your designs to the dev team. But when you are doing low fidelity sketches or whiteboarding, it's very high touch. So that is why we are doing the ideation. Mostly you want to do paper prototyping, or if you are using a software like Balsamiq, be my guest, but you want to do things very fast, 1 day, 2 days, at most 3 days, and create a multiple solutions so that the people such as stakeholders or managers can also join in the conversation and you guys get to now pick instead of just settle for one solution. Now, thanks to your ideation phase, whether that was sketches or whiteboarding, you have a good idea of what kind of a workflow the application will have, and you kind of an idea what kind of features it will have and where the most difficult screens will be. So now it is time to go to the prototyping phase, which is doing some mid-fidelity, meaning that there won't be any colors, typography present, and you are literally trying to just put the information architecture, the UI elements on the screen. You can again use Balsamiq for this, but what I prefer is just to install a wireframe plugin of Figma and use Figma, because in this phase you are gonna get the most feedback probably, especially from your dev team, front-end team. So make sure that that channel is open with Figma for collaboration so you can get the comments from your team. Make sure that you prototype fairly fast again, not 2 days or 3 days, but probably 1 week or 2 weeks later, you probably will have a solution, and then we will be on to the next phase. Now that we are done with our mid-fidelity prototype, it is time to test. And it is very important to test with at least 3 to 5 users per device type. Meaning if your application supported for mobile phone, desktop, and tablet, you want to test at least 3 to 5 people for each device, in total, in maximum roughly 15 people. Now, what you are looking for when you are doing this usability testing is you want to make sure that you are giving to each user the same tasks, and you want to hopefully record their interactions, or at least write down on your diary how long it takes for them to perform a particular task, what are their complaints. You are literally trying to find what are the problems with your workflow, your design, your information architecture. Usability testing, the difference is usually you are not asking any open-ended questions, but you are literally trying to find the problems of what you provided. And once you are done with this phase, now we can move on to the high fidelity. Now, onward to high fidelity, we are going to be adding some colors, some typography, and we are gonna fix what we learned from the usability testing. Some companies also do the usability testing at the very early stage of ideation. They want to get the user's input as fast as they can, and you can do that too. Usability testing, or any type of testing, is usually going in hand with almost every phase of prototyping, whether that is low fidelity or high fidelity. But when it comes to high fidelity, when we add the colors and typography, we are literally looking at the user's reaction to, again, the certain tasks in the workflow that might still be problematic, but we are also checking what are their reactions, how do they define their experience with us in terms of, let's say, branding. Does the current product fit with the experience we are providing to the user and also to our company. In terms of our lines of product, how good does this product actually fit in? Also matters because usually companies have multiple products and you want to make sure you keep the branding of the company intact while still giving the good user experience. Now we must measure the impact of our decisions. It is very important that you just don't quit the project, but perhaps create some form of a case study that you can present to your team later. And the reason for that is in most companies UX is still not established, meaning you have to sell why the user experience design matters. What better way to sell something other than showing your business results, meaning you can measure the amount of visitor increase you got within the last 2 months after the new redesign of the website went live. You can measure a lot of stuff and make the argument that the user experience also helps business goals. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. And if you want to get better at UI UX design and you really like this video, please click on that subscribe button below so that we can stay in touch. I post 2 times a week on this channel on mostly about UI UX design videos, and if you subscribe we can stay in touch.